What is up? Welcome back or welcome to America Sports, where we are predicting what will happen in each division. Today we are getting to the AFC South, where we have a ton of questions to be answered this year, surprises and new expectations for teams. We are going to break down what each team has done in the offseason, the draft, and then we'll break down what we think is going to happen to each of them this season. So let's get into some football. We start with the team that got last year, as usual, and this is the Houston Texans, who were 3-13-1. All three wins coming from the division, as they were 3-2-1 in the AFC South. This year, they have plus 800 odds to win the AFC South, and their win totals over/under is at 6.5. All of their wins, and even the tie, came from the division last year. So that's one good thing that you could look at with this team moving forward, is that Houston knows how to play their division. And the fact that they have Derek Stingley Jr. That guy is a beast. The team last year was full of pride towards the end of the year. I thought they had improved tremendously. They gave the Cowboys and the Chiefs all that they could handle. But let's look at the additions that they made for this year and the subtractions along with the draft and everything else that goes with it. First of all, as you, as I, as everybody knows, they drafted a quarterback in the first round. That quarterback's name is C.J. Stroud, drafted number 2 overall. So the whole city is sitting back and looking to see if Stroud is the new guy. That they've been trying to find a guy since Deshaun Watson's departure. Their big move in the offseason, in my opinion, is picking off strong safety Jimmy Ward from the 49ers. And he's a guy that has played his entire career with the Niners, so getting Ward to come to Houston is big. They did lose safety Jonathan Owens. He is now with the Packers. So this move was even bigger. Also, another big move was getting tight end Donovan Schultz to come from the Cowboys to the Texans. And Noah Brown is also here from the Cowboys. So they get Brown and Schultz from that Cowboys team. Oh, and Robert Woods is here from the Titans, the wide receiver who played 1 year with Tennessee. Lastly, they added defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins from the Jets. Also a very nice pickup. Now they've lost 2 defensive ends, one being Rasheem Green. He's now with the Bears. And defensive end Okoronkwo, who just came off his best season. The last loss, and a very important one, was losing wide receiver Brandon Cooks. He's with Dallas. One thing that we know for sure that they have is a secondary. That is for certain. When it comes to takeaways, they were solid last year with the same amount as teams like Buffalo and Philly. They've got Derek Stingley Jr. coming into his second year, like I mentioned earlier. Ward, like I mentioned earlier. And free safety Petrie, who led the team in interceptions and tackles last year. I look for Will Anderson Jr. and Derek Stingley Jr. to be staples in this defense for the foreseeable future. And I also have hopes that linebacker Christian Harris and linebacker Blake Cashman to take leaps in their careers as well, starting this year. Overall, I like this team's future. They are in a better spot than they were last year. I think that's undeniable. I think everyone would agree with that. But in the end, like it usually does, it will come down to if the quarterback is the guy. We have to remember how young he is, and he's a rookie. But I think Houston has gone out of their way, starting this offseason, to set him up for the future with some brand new weapons and the defense to build upon. Therefore, my prediction is they go 6-11, 3-3 in the division, proving that they can still play within their division for third place in the AFC South. Finishing third in the division last year was the Indianapolis Colts, as they were 4-12-1, 1-4-1 in the division. And their odds to win the AFC South are a plus 600 with their win totals over/under at 6.5, just like Houston. This fan base is full of pride, but man, it went as bad as it could last year, other than obviously losing literally every single game. Even with all of that said, they were still able to pull off a win against the eventual Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. I also have to make my predictions on the assumption that JT will either be traded or is sitting out. I don't really know. I'm just making my predictions right now on the fact that JT is not playing for them. So we're kind of off to a bad start here, aren't we? First off, the Colts yet again have a new quarterback. This is becoming a recurring thing. But I think maybe, possibly, this could be the end of the quarterback carousel, at least for a little while. We'll see. This is something that they love to do and had to do. Quarterback Anthony Richardson will essentially be thrown out to the Wolves this year and only has a couple of wide receivers for options. And the Colts still have no idea what their run game is going to be like as of this video, thanks to the whole JT and Irsay situation. Though it looks like if JT gets traded, that Zach Moss will be their starting running back unless they get a running back in return for JT. And to be honest with you, since Andrew Luck, you could question quite a few things coming from this organization. Quite a few things. The Colts also lost defensive back Stephon Gilmore to the Cowboys. A veteran DB who still has plenty left in the tank. He actually won them a game or two last year. And they only won 4 games, so that means a lot. Safety Rodney McLeod is now with the Browns. Screw you guys for that. And linebacker Bobby Okereke is with the Giants. Yannick Ngakoue is also gone as he went to Chicago. They're just dropping them like flies in Indianapolis. Quarterback Nick Foles, RBs Nyheim Hines and Philip Lindsay, all are gone. That's a lot of turnover to me, especially to a team that, wasn't good the year before. On offense, though, you would think it has to be better this year, but I don't know. You're going to experience growing pains with this team. So I do think it will be better, but not by much. And I do come off as I'm ragging on this team. And I'm not here to down on anyone's team. But I am here to give my honest opinion. And I feel like the Colts are having a fire sale. And they're gaining a lot through the draft. And they're starting fresh with young players. This is a rebuild if I've ever seen it in my life. You can't expect Anthony Richardson to just all of a sudden just carry you through and win you the division and win you playoff games again. Like, this is going to take time. And we will figure out a lot about the Colts after the first 6 weeks, as they have 4 division games and 6 of their first 7 are AFC games. 2 of those games are against the defending AFC South champions, the Jaguars. Yeah, I don't think the Colts are going to be good. I love the under for the wins total. Therefore, I have the Colts at 5-12, 1-5 in the division, beating Houston 1 time. Good for 4th place. Finishing second in the division last year with a 7-10 record were the Tennessee Titans. Their odds to win the division this year are at plus 350, with the win total over/under at 7.5. A tale of 2 halves is the best way to shortly summarize the Titans season last year. They started 5-2 last year before losing in overtime to the Chiefs. What really messed them up was losing to the Bengals, the team that knocked them out of the playoffs a year prior. They don't win a game the rest of the year. Now, Titans have 3 of my favorite players of all time: King Henry, D-Hop, and Coach Vrabel. These guys are very important to me, so I always believe that together, the 3 of them can get you out of a bad situation. Now let's look at the additions and subtractions for them this year. The Titans' biggest transaction of the season, in my opinion, was being able to talk wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins into coming to Tennessee. D-Hop provides a real and serious, combining to make a real serious boost to the offense. A team that needs a good wide receiver so badly. Mark down Hopkins to go crazy on Houston every time he plays them, by the way. Quarterback Sean Murphy Bunting is added to this very solid secondary. He's coming from the Bucks. Linebacker David Long Jr. is with the Dolphins now, which that sucks for them, as he had 86 total tackles, 2 INTs, and 5 passes defense. Plus, linebacker Dylan Cole is now with the Bears. Man, the Bears made a ton of moves on defense, and a few of them are sneaky. You can check it out in the video I made right here. In their absence, they will look to other linebackers like Jack Gibbons or Monty Rice. Maybe both, as they really didn't make any moves in the draft to improve the defense at all. This was all offense-oriented around the Titans, and their big concern was with the offensive line, as well as it should be. Offensive tackle Peter Skoronski was a great draft choice. I love Skoronski, but it's not going to be enough for this offensive line, who PFF has them ranked dead last. I do not believe that it's that bad. I don't believe it is the actual worst offensive line. in the NFL, but it ain't great either. I believe that they'll use 2 tight ends in the passing game. They did this last year, but I think this duo of tight ends is better than last year's. Wide receivers Trey Burke and Kyle Phillips have no choice but to improve as well if this team wants to get back into the playoffs. So, overall, I predict that the Titans go 9-8, 4-2 in the division. That's good for second place in the AFC South. The team that was able to turn their season around and finished first with a 9-8 record, the Jacksonville Jaguars, with a 4-2 division record. This year, their odds to win the AFC South are at -155, with their win totals over/under at 9.5. Last year, the team finished off the season with a loss to the Chiefs in the divisional rounds. The season was a massive success, though. Many consider this team to be on the rise, but not already this good. Jags could also be considered a tale of two halves, just like the Titans, when considering their last season. They started the year 3-7. It was not going great for them, the exact opposite of Tennessee. Yet, after the bye week, a big-time win against the Ravens prompted this team to go on a win of 6 of their last 7 games. And people are saying that this team has the potential to take the next step. However, in my eyes, the AFC is loaded with teams that have this same potential. Let's look at the additions and the subtractions. Jaguars get Calvin Ridley back after serving a full 1-year suspension for some kind of gambling. I don't really know the specifics on it. That's not really what I do. This turns into one of the best receiving cores, possibly the most underrated even, because we haven't seen Ridley play in a couple of years. We kind of forget the level that he was at. People laughed at the Jaguars when they signed wide receiver Christian Kirk in the last offseason. Now take a look at him. Their biggest loss was on the O-line, as Jawan Taylor is now with the Chiefs, and trust me, I'm sad about that too. I discussed Jawan Taylor in the AFC West Division predictions video that you can check up here. But anyway, yeah, that's a huge loss. He was their best lineman by a long shot, and this should almost definitely bring down the offensive line as a whole. Last year, quarterback Trevor Lawrence was sacked 27 times, and I'm thinking probably somewhere in the 30s this year. However, that is just about the only downside I see with this team, though, this year. But to me, this is the only downside that the Jaguars have, is at the offensive line. Starting defense has pretty much kept everyone. Linebackers Devin Lloyd plus Trayvon Walker could see even more improvement as they head into their second season. Yeah, honestly, there is just too much to like about this Jaguars team to not take them to win the AFC South this year. That's why they have some of the best odds in the entire NFL winning their division, behind the Chiefs. I do think they will be fighting the Texans and the Titans over the next few years, as Houston is now starting on their come up. But for right now, the rest of the division just cannot hang with the Jaguars. My prediction is the Jaguars go 10-7, a game better than last year, and 4-2 in the division, which obviously puts them in first place. Yeah, the Jags are going to win this division. Really, the only team that could say anything about this year is the Titans. Be sure to let me know in the comments below how you think this will play out. And if you end up liking the video, consider subscribing, because we are predicting all the divisions, and we'll be predicting games all season long. We also do other sports like basketball too.